Hey there, friends. Have you ever felt like life was closing in on you? Like no matter how hard you try, things just keep falling apart? Maybe you've been stuck in a situation where fear and pain clouded every decision you made. If that sounds familiar, then this story is exactly for you. Before we begin, hit that like button. It tells me you're here with me, ready to hear something real. And don't forget to comment below. Tell me where you're watching from today. Is it California? Texas? Or maybe somewhere across the globe? Let me know your location in the comment section. Now let's dive in. It all started one chilly morning when Sarah Dawson woke up to an empty bank account and a mountain of bills staring back at her from her phone screen. She sighed deeply, running her fingers through her messy blonde hair. Life hadn't always been this way for her. Once upon a time, she owned a small diner called Dawson's Diner, tucked away in a quiet corner of Cedar Ridge. It wasn't fancy, but it had heart, just like Sarah herself. People came not only for the food, but also for the warmth they felt whenever Sarah greeted them by name. But now, the diner sat abandoned, its windows boarded up, its sign faded and forgotten. Sarah lived in a tiny apartment above what used to be her dream, sleeping on a worn-out couch because she couldn't afford anything better. Every night, she stared at the ceiling, wondering how everything went so wrong. Her mind raced with suspicions about who might have betrayed her trust, fears of losing even more than she already had, and desires to turn back time and fix whatever mistakes led her here. One day, while walking through town, Sarah noticed a tow truck parked near the old gas station. The driver, a man named Calvin Hayes, leaned against his vehicle, sipping coffee from a thermos. He looked rugged yet kind, with deep-set eyes that seemed to carry stories of their own. Something inside Sarah stirred, a mix of curiosity and desperation. She approached him cautiously, clutching her coat tighter around herself. "Excuse me," she said softly, her voice trembling slightly. "Do you need any extra work? I mean, if you're looking for odd jobs or something." Calvin raised an eyebrow, studying her for a moment before nodding slowly. "Sure thing. What do you need done?" Sarah hesitated, biting her lip. I need help moving some stuff out of my old place. You know, the diner down the street." He nodded again, setting his thermos aside. "All right, lead the way." As they walked toward the diner, Sarah couldn't shake the lump forming in her throat. This building held so many memories, good ones and bad ones alike. When they arrived, she unlocked the door, revealing dusty tables, cracked chairs, and faded menus still hanging on the walls. Calvin glanced around, taking it all in silently. "So what happened here?" he asked finally, his tone gentle. Sarah froze, unsure whether to answer honestly. After a long pause, she whispered, "I lost everything." Calvin didn't press further. Instead, he grabbed a broom leaning against a wall and began sweeping the floor without another word. His action spoke louder than any questions could. Grateful for his silence, Sarah joined him, wiping down countertops and sorting through boxes filled with receipts, cookbooks, and photos of happier times. Hours passed, and as the sun dipped lower in the sky, Sarah found herself opening up to Calvin. She told him about how she'd taken out loans to expand the diner, believing it would bring in more customers. But instead of thriving, business dwindled. Rumors spread about health code violations, rumors she later discovered were false, but impossible to refute once people believed them. One by one, her loyal customers stopped coming, leaving her drowning in debt. "I worked so hard," she murmured, tears streaming down her face. "And for what? To end up broken alone." Calvin stopped what he was doing, turning to look at her. There was no pity in his gaze, only understanding. "You're not alone, Sarah. Not anymore." Those words hit her like a wave, washing over her with a strange sense of comfort. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to cry freely, letting out all the pain and frustration she'd bottled up inside. Calvin stood quietly beside her, offering a steady presence until her sobs subsided. The next few days turned into weeks. Calvin continued helping Sarah clean out the diner, refusing to accept payment beyond basic expenses. Together, they uncovered hidden treasures, old recipes written in Sarah's grandmother's handwriting, childhood drawings pinned to bulletin boards, and letters from grateful patrons thanking her for meals served during tough times. One afternoon, as they sorted through a box of old photographs, Calvin paused, holding up a picture of Sarah standing behind the counter, smiling brightly. "This is who you are," he said firmly, "not the person sitting in that dark apartment feeling sorry for yourself. You built this place with love and determination. Don't let anyone take that away from you." His words struck a chord deep within Sarah. Slowly, a spark reignited in her chest, a flicker of hope she thought had died long ago. That evening, she sat down with pen and paper, sketching out plans for a new start. What if she reopened the diner? Not as a traditional restaurant, but as a community hub where locals could gather, share meals, and support each other. With Calvin's encouragement, Sarah reached out to former customers, explaining her vision and asking for their help. To her surprise, many responded enthusiastically, volunteering to repaint walls, repair furniture, and spread the word about the grand reopening. Even those who hadn't visited in years showed up, eager to contribute in any way they could. On the day of the reopening, Sarah stood outside the diner, her heart pounding with nerves and excitement. The once dingy exterior now gleamed with fresh paint, flower boxes lining the windowsills. Inside, the smell of freshly baked bread wafted through the air, mingling with laughter and conversation. When Calvin arrived, carrying a bouquet of wildflowers, Sarah hugged him tightly, overwhelmed with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." He smiled, handing her the flowers. "You did this, Sarah. All I did was remind you of who you are." As the evening wore on, Sarah took a moment to step outside, gazing up at the stars. Tears pricked her eyes, not from sadness this time, but from joy. She realized something important. Life may knock you down, but it's up to you to decide whether to stay there or rise again. Friends, this story isn't just about Sarah, it's about you too. We all face moments when the world feels heavy, when our dreams seem out of reach. But remember this, even in your darkest hour, there's always someone willing to lend a hand or a listening ear, if you're brave enough to ask. So, tell me, what's weighing on your heart right now? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Wherever you are, know that you're not alone. Before you go, don't forget to hit that like button. It means the world to creators like me. And if this story touched your soul, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Together, we can lift each other up. Good night, friends. Until next time, bye.